At the dawn of man, before man even was man, back to the days of the humble hominids, there was one lineage that dates back to the missing link between the savage animals and the humankind. And that lineage was the Ragnacus Erecti, the alert Ragnacus in the modern tongue. See, even the game says it's based on true events, so I'm not talking any hestepiss, okay? Ancestors is a game where you have to relive the human history and try to survive long enough to evolve into a more complex species until you reach the early humans. But is this game worth the purchase? Well, we will have to figure that one together, don't you worry about that, Jojo. The game is the debut game from Panac Digital Games, and if you didn't know any better, you will think this is some random indie dev team, but you will be in the same tree shoe as me because I completely didn't know who the brains behind this project was. It was Patrice Desilets himself. Sorry if I butchered your name there, mate.
Bonjour, je suis Patrice Desilets.
The same guy behind the renowned Prince of Persia Sands of Time, and a small game franchise called, I don't know if you heard about it, but Assassin's Creed. Yeah, he was behind Assassin's Creed 1 to Brotherhood. Say what you want about the first Assassin's game, but that game was a dope-ass sci-fi flick for the history nerd.
Pitched roofs are normally reserved for buildings in inclement weather.
To be clear, history nerd is below history buff, so don't come here with all the inaccuracies.
Yeah, I can target myself.
Assassinate. Can't you?
Yeah! Holy shit! There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I just assassinated myself.
The set piece of the game is 10 million years ago, where our ancestors looked quite a bit different from us. And just let me point out how great the early hominids look. I know for most people that these are just a bunch of fucking northern monkeys, but they are a pretty accurate representation. Except for the Sahelanthropus, because you're way too small in the game. In real life, it was at least 24 meters tall standing up and could shoot from 2 Gatling guns attached to its head. The goal of the game is to evolve from the missing link to an early species of the hominid, about 8 million years of evolution to make it spoiler free. So with that being said, I'm actually gonna do one little spoiler here. If you wanna go in, no lube, all dry nuts to butts, well, why are you even looking up reviews for, huh? Generally it's accepted that the earliest use by any hominid is around 1 million years ago, and a contender for the earliest use by a hominid dates back 1.7 million years ago in China. And you might understand where I'm going with this. I've seen so many people bash this game for not having any fire making, thinking this game is called Neanderthal Caving Simulator 2019, and I know for a fact some of you are busting a little anger tear right now, imagining all them sick fire montages you could have made to give you an instant backdoor access to Facecam.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Of course the game doesn't have fire making because the early hominids didn't really know how to do it. If they did know this early on, there will be a lot more fires in the chimpanzee zoo enclosures around the world. The game is essentially a type of survival game. You start off with a small tribe, and you will need to learn how to expand the tribe up to 18 hominids. The days and years are counted, and you will need to learn as much as possible that you can do in one day. Not only do you need to learn, but you need to bring a kind with you, to witness what you've been doing, to pass down the techniques and teachings. Learning increases neurons, which you connect to dots that result in you learning how to alter objects to do a certain thing, or something as simple as to make other hominids follow you through primitive verbal communication. Learning is done through repetition, and there is only so much you can do in one generation, so the smartest thing is to pass through generations. Also, every baby born has a chance of having a genetic mutation, which can give you benefits, and the game is not mean enough to give you any bad Chernobyl mutations. You will need to lock some neurons which you have learned by the number of children that is born, because tribes can only learn a limited amount per generation, naturally, and to lock every mutation you need to evolve the species. Evolution is through completing different milestones during the game, from discovering a new oasis or dodging an enemy attack. For each milestone you get a boost of several thousand years ahead of time, and you can pass through evolution faster than science, which I don't understand what it's determined by, to be frank. The game is mostly about exploration and experimenting. I'm trying my best to not reveal too much, but the entire game won't work if you already know exactly how it's done, so I highly advise not looking up any guides or tips, because figuring shit out is truly where the game really shines. I'm not saying this in the OG Minecraft way, where you have to place stuff completely random and finally find a gun here in the ass and discover how shit is done. It's not like that. Just try it, and when you first understand how something is done, you will know. This is, however, something the game gets a lot of shit for, not being hand-holding enough and it being repetitive. Well, evolutionary history is repetitive, so I don't really understand the complaints. It is like buying a card game and getting mad there's only cars in the game. I will say, however, that it does overstay its welcome. Towards the last million years, you will have figured out everything about them and possibly explored everything that the game has to offer, and it still keeps on going and making you do useless milestones for no reason than to just progress. If the game was half the length, it would have done itself a huge favor, in my opinion, as this game is about 30 to 40 hours long. As this is a debut title, you can't really expect it to do all the things that the early hominids might have done, but with what they had and the execution, I'd say it's very spot on and well done. They kept the most important bits, into the extent that you can too become the did you know kind of kid by the end of the game. I haven't heard anyone complain about one thing though, so I might as well address this one just in case, and that is every animal is extremely massive, like the rock boa and stuff. But the explanation is that some of it is a creative decision, like the one enemy I won't spoil, but it made my feet sweat out of fear when I saw it, and that the early hominids were quite tiny. While playing it, it is easy to imagine that everyone is rocking at 180 centimeters peak, but in actuality the species you play in the game was no taller than 140 centimeters. It is basically the wacky adventures of the unshaven Patrick Dinklage the game. The world in the game is, oddly enough, planet Earth. Yeah, I know. Shocker. But where in the Earth is this? Well, this is Africa. Another strong point of the game, and arguably the strongest point of the game, to explore the dense jungles of Africa and surviving all the currently living and extinct dangers in the wild. Swinging from trees to trees felt incredibly smooth, and the mistakes that gets done is mainly the player's fault. Last time I had this much fun from going from A to B was when I played the new Spider-Man. Not exactly comparable, but close enough. The first times you venture out from your tribe is absolutely nerve-wracking, as everything that is out there can kill you, like it was in history, but with the added challenge of always having a kid with you. Because if you die, then you have one shot at hiding as a child, or else all the progression you made in that day is gone, Dark Souls style.
Special Forces zipline. These guys are pros.
You thinking what I'm thinking, partner?
Aim for the bushes.
I would call this game a Souls-like game, just to piss off the Souls fan. You need to smell, listen and look around with the intelligence button to determine the safest route, as the world's beauty is treacherous. There isn't much to spoil about what the world looks like, unless you never have heard about the continent before, somehow. So, if you can imagine a place in Africa, it's already in the game. The music in the game is unnoticeable, it's kind of just there, like in Minecraft. Except for when you get intoxicated, then the music gets distorted and honestly quite annoying. And that one song that suddenly the guitar decides to kill itself and goes ding out of nowhere. I hate that song. In conclusion, this is one of the very few games out there that really delivers on this premise. You get exactly what you buy with this game, which is insanely rare. Like when you buy Skyrim, because it's a first-person shooter, but when you play it and you ask, where's the shooter? I've been had Todd Howard, and I don't like it. The game is brutal in the beginning. The game is grindy and repetitive. There isn't any fire making or city building. It is exactly what the premise is said to be. The evolution of the early humans from the missing link. There's also a rumor going around that they might make this into a trilogy, where the next game picks up where this one leaves in the evolution. That is an amazing idea and I really hope they do it, as they only need to do what they did with this game, do more stuff. I honestly can't wait for the next installment. The game wasn't really a surprise for me, as I've kept an eye for it for some time now, but I would imagine that it will be a surprise for many people. And I absolutely recommend getting it, especially now that it's on sale. I will give this game a rating of a strong 8 out of 10.